Oral questions by members.
Member for Surrey Serpentine River.
Housing.
It's on.
It's on now? Good, thank you. BC's housing crisis is spiraling out of control despite this government's promise to fix it. In Surrey, the cost to buy a house has increased by 46%, a townhouse by 53%, and a condo by 67%. How does the Premier explain to the people of Surrey that instead of delivering lower costs, he's put housing out of reach for the next generation?
Minister of Housing.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the member for the question. And no doubt it is a challenge for many people to find access to affordable housing, not only in British Columbia, but a challenge that's being felt across the country. That's why, Honourable Speaker, we have been taking some bold action here in British Columbia. I've heard from members on both sides of the aisle talking about getting government out of the way. That's what we've been doing. We've cut red tape. We've now made it we've made the process for approving housing much more simpler for all home builders across the province, Honourable Speaker. That's why BC continues to see record amount of housing starts. Yes, the numbers went slightly down from last year, but that's important to note that last year was the highest in BC's history, Honourable Speaker. Not only that, Honourable Speaker, we know that we need a full range of housing. Not only do we need to cut the red tape so that private builders can build the housing we need, we also need to invest in affordable housing, Honourable Speaker. We have 28 times more affordable housing under construction in British Columbia right now in communities throughout the province, Honourable Speaker, because we know that everyone deserves to have a safe place that they can call home.
Member supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, currently the infrastructure improvements needed to help the City of Surrey achieve its NDP-mandated housing targets under Bill 44 would cost almost $900 million. Does the Premier intend to pay for the infrastructure improvements needed in Surrey to advance the ridiculous Bill 44, or does he expect Surrey taxpayers to foot that bill?
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank again the member for the question. And no doubt, in order to have housing, we need to ensure that we have full livable communities. That's why we invested last year $1 billion in our local governments to ensure that they had the dollars to invest in infrastructure, in amenities, in parks, anything that the communities feel that is important for them. In the case of Surrey, we provided them $90 million. To date, the City of Surrey has not made public where those $90 million are going to be used, what amenities they're going to, what infrastructure it's going to. I certainly hope that they make that public, and we're going to continue to be there as a partner to support them when they do make those investments public, Honourable Speaker. We are going to support all local governments to ensure that we can build the housing but also have livable communities, Honourable Speaker. That's what we, I think, collectively want to see in every single community as we go forward.
Member for Surrey Cloverdale.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Even before it broke ground, the Cloverdale Hospital project was $1.2 billion over budget and years behind schedule. What's worse is that the project doesn't come anywhere close to meeting the needs of the community. So, Mr. Speaker, why does the Premier believe that cost overruns, delays, and service shortages are acceptable for the residents of Surrey?
Minister of Infrastructure.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. It is true, the costs of construction are going up, not just here in British Columbia, not just throughout Canada, but all throughout North America and indeed in many parts of the world. That being said, however, we also know that population growth here in British Columbia and in communities like Surrey demand that we continue our work to deliver the infrastructure and the services that they need. The member is quite right that a single hospital project is not going to meet all of the needs of Surrey, and that is why we are taking action to deliver for people of Surrey a new not only the new hospital and a cancer center, which is under construction now, with a second emergency room for Surrey, as well as a new tower for Surrey Memorial Hospital, a new kidney and cardiac care at Surrey Memorial, a new medical school to train the next generation of family doctors in Surrey. That first class will be starting in fall 2026. There's so much more work that has to be done for the community of Surrey, and we're committed to doing just that.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Great to hear the Minister acknowledge that the NDP is not keeping up with our population growth. And I should note here that Vancouver's St. Paul redevelopment is going to add 548 beds to that hospital, but the delayed and over-budget Cloverdale Hospital only adds 168 beds for medical care in Surrey. Surrey's on pace, Mr. Speaker, to have the largest population in our province by 2027. Why does the Premier think BC's soon-to-be largest city deserves significantly insufficient health care?
Minister.
Honourable Speaker, the City of Surrey is growing, and we've seen this kind of population growth boom throughout British Columbia. In June 2023, between June 2023 and June 2024 alone, British Columbia's population grew by 188,000 people. For every 10,000 people that come to British Columbia, we need an additional 50 classrooms, an additional 18 hospital beds, 4,000 additional homes. These type of growth numbers are extraordinary, and absolutely very few jurisdictions are able to keep up with that massive amount of growth. The good news is we are well underway on the services that will support people in Surrey, and that is after many years of the Leader of the Opposition, when he was in government, ignoring the needs of Surrey, creating a massive infrastructure deficit. We're talking about building hospitals. Well, when the Leader of the Opposition was in government, his government sold off the land that was meant to be used to deliver a hospital. That set us back by a significant margin. That work is being done right now. And our government will continue to do that work for the people of Surrey.
House Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Amidst tariff threats, the government has tasked the province to buy BC. And as important as that is, the choice to buy BC simply isn't available to British Columbians living paycheck to paycheck. Despite being one of the wealthiest provinces in Canada, 17% of British Columbians face food insecurity, and food prices are projected to increase by 5% in 2025. This government has put too much responsibility on its citizens for the tariff response. Through you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Poverty and Social Development, what tangible supports will this government introduce so that British Columbians can do their part and can afford to feed themselves and their families with groceries made in BC?
Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Grateful to the member opposite for raising the concern that we feel in every community and in every province in the country as well, that the increased cost of food because of global inflation, interruption from things like the Ukraine war has shot up the cost of food. This has been a tremendous pressure on families, and it tells us again and again that everything we can do to invest in British Columbia and grow more of our food vitally necessary. And so I'm grateful to the cross-government focus on this work. Also grateful to both United Way BC and Food Banks BC, who over the last 3 years have been able to deliver to grassroots organizations an unprecedented amount of money. Our ministry funded it, but these organizations were able to get money out quickly. And it's not only for emergency response for food banks, but also investing in the kind of food security infrastructure that for Indigenous nations, they are able to grow and process more food, but then also for urban organizations to be able to recover and redistribute excess food. Most importantly, I think connected to the member's question, is our farmers market coupons, where between the health ministry and the agriculture ministry, when we can get dollars people can deliver to purchase at farmers markets, that's the very best way for us to get nutritious, fresh local food to people in need.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. While I appreciate the response, British Columbians need and deserve more right now. This government has estimated that tariffs could lead to a cumulative loss of $69 billion in economic activity in the province in the next 3 years and 124,000 job losses. Our local businesses are particularly vulnerable. It's irresponsible for this government to continually push Buy BC without ensuring that our BC businesses are protected and supported. Through you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, how will this government ensure that people can buy BC and support local businesses while also staying affordable for consumers?
Minister of Jobs and Economic Development.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you, Member Opposite, for the question. We know that tariffs are doing harm both sides of the border. That's why this government's advocated so hard against them in the first place and continues to be at the table with businesses in our tariff roundtable and with labour organizations and Indigenous groups so that we can in real time work together to ensure we're unlocking economic development, doing a tariff response, watching for what's coming out of the federal government to support impacted individuals and businesses in our communities and fill in those gaps. Honourable Speaker, we will continue to work to ensure that our businesses are helped with unlocking internal trade and reducing trade barriers across the country and with supports that are filled through the federal government and gaps that we identify.
Member for Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the last number of years, the Fraser Health Authority has been in complete chaos. 18-hour waits, pediatric care in portables, and unsafe working conditions for our frontline workers. 2 weeks ago, we saw the immediate departure of CEO Victoria Lee. Some people would say that was long overdue. My question is a simple one to the Minister of Health. Does the Fraser Health Authority Chair Jim Sinclair have the full confidence and support of this minister?
Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you to the member for the question. The Fraser Health Authority, the chair, the board members, in fact, the board members of every single health authority here in this province are working hard each and every day, putting people's interests first and doing everything that they can to build and support and strengthen our public health care system here in BC. Mr. Speaker, they, like me and our government, are focused on people, on patients, and getting them the health care that they need faster and closer to home. Mr. Speaker, that's why in the Fraser Health Authority, over 790 new nurses, 510 doctors, 1,000 student nurses have been added in the last 2 years alone. Mr. Speaker, those healthcare workers added in Fraser Health alone, they're not just filling vacancies, they're new positions, because we know we need these people to help us deliver healthcare for people faster, better. It is work that I and the Health Authority are not going to stop doing.
Surrey White Rock supplemental.
Okay, so I think in that non-answer, there was a pretty clear answer in that, if that makes any sense. The fact... Here's the problem, is that the NDP have chosen to put one of their biggest political insiders at the helm of Fraser Health, and the results have been absolutely disastrous. You have put somebody in there that has no healthcare experience, that has no support of the frontline workers, and clearly from that answer, very little support from this minister. Will this minister do the right thing and put patients before politics and fire Mr. Sinclair today? Simple question.
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This government will always put patients before politics.
Members. Member, would you like to stand up and ask question? If not, please stay quiet.
They won't let them.
Wait for your turn. Minister will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll always put patients before politics. That's why, with Surrey being one of the fastest growing communities in British Columbia, we have continued to take action to invest in new infrastructure, new hospitals. The Minister of Infrastructure listed. Mr. Speaker, this government will always put patients before politics. What we won't do is promise a second hospital for Surrey and then sell the land and cancel the project.
Member for West Vancouver Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under this government, Surrey School District has more portables now than ever had before, many of which are sitting empty on playgrounds and fields. It costs the school district about $160,000 to move one portable. Not only does the Surrey School District not have the money to move portables, they don't have the money to run band programs and keep learning centres open. Mr. Speaker, when will this Premier properly fund the Surrey School District? Thank you.
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank the member for the question. We in our government absolutely want to make sure that all students across the province have all the tools they need to thrive, and that includes in growing districts like Surrey. Surrey School District has over $1 billion in operating budget this year, which is a 62% increase from when we formed government in 2017, going up from $641 million. School districts all across the province are going through their budget process right now and making those decisions on what is best for their community. And those budget decisions rest solely within the school districts. We in our government are going to continue to invest and increase investments in education year after year after year. And we won't stop, Honourable Speaker, because we believe in investing in education and making sure our students have the supports they need to thrive.
Does the member have a supplemental? Okay. Member for Surrey North.
Mr. Speaker, Surrey parents are contact me daily with concern. Their children are seeing books that are inappropriate for their age. Parents want sexually image removed from school. When will the NDP government replace SOGI with a new anti-bullying program?
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you for the member for the question. I hear the concern in his voice. I absolutely agree with the member that any materials that are provided in school absolutely need to be age appropriate. I am committed to making sure that students get the best education possible in an age-appropriate way and ensure that schools have access to resources that they need and that kids have accesses to the resources that they are looking for and that information that they're looking for in an age-appropriate manner. I have directed the ministry to work towards a provincial framework that includes specific criteria ensuring age-appropriate materials are in schools, and I thank the member for the question.
Member for Abbotsford Mission.
Mr. Speaker, according to Childcare BC, Surrey only has 683 $10 a day childcare spaces available. That's 683 spaces for a city with 94,000 children. Does the minister think that this is good enough?
Minister, go ahead.
Apologies, Speaker. Thank you, and thank the member for the question. It is so important that we increase childcare spaces all over the province, which is exactly what our government is doing. We have opened tens of thousands of new spaces in not-for-profit, public daycare, and before and after school spaces in every corner of this province. We are on track to meet our federal target for $10 a day daycare of 20,000 spaces next year. You know, Honourable Speaker, when we take a look at what our government has done to make sure that not only are we expanding spaces across the province, but we're making them more affordable, we continue to invest in childcare in significant amounts. We have been able to reduce childcare fees for up to $1,250 a month per families. This is huge, Honourable Speaker. Not only do we need to ensure that we've got the spaces, we need to make sure they're affordable, and that is what our government is doing.
Abbotsford Mission Supplemental.
Your child into affordable childcare shouldn't be this difficult. 683 spaces after 8 years. What excuse does the Minister of Education have for this attempt at opening childcare spaces when it's only benefiting a certain amount of the population? We have parents on wait lists for years.
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I want to take the member down a little walk of the history of the Leader of the Opposition before I start my answer here, because you know, the Leader of the Opposition, when he was in government, he cancelled our $14 a day childcare program that we had in this province. Significant, Honourable Speaker. I can only imagine where we would be today if that $14 a day hadn't been cancelled by the Leader of the Opposition in his government. We have tripled the number of new spaces that are funded here in our province. We've increased spaces by over 40,000. We are reducing fees for families by up to $1,250. Many families paying zero. The average across the province right now is $17 a day, down from $42 when we formed government. Honourable Speaker, these are significant investments. We are reducing wait times, we are increasing spaces, we're making it more affordable, and we are going to keep working on childcare, because we know that families count on this service across the province.
Thank you, Minister.
And unlike the Leader of the Opposition, we'll keep investing, not cutting.
Member for Surrey South.
By now, the Surrey-Langley SkyTrain should be moving people south of the Fraser in a speedy fashion. Yet under this government, it's not rapid transit, it's not delayed transit, it's just undelivered transit. Mr. Speaker, the NDP government starves TransLink, leaving Surrey service struggling to stay on time, if at all. Surrey seniors know Handy Dart is the definition of unreliable. If they can't handle the day-to-day, Mr. Speaker, it has been 5 years. Why should the good people of Surrey trust the NDP to deliver a SkyTrain on budget by 2030, by 2050, in their lifetime?
All right. Minister of Transportation.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I can't believe the member asked that question when he's sitting with a leader who was part of a government that promised SkyTrain south of the Fraser and did absolutely nothing to deliver it, Honourable Speaker. I'm not sure whether he's aware of it, Honourable Speaker, but the pylons are coming out for the Surrey SkyTrain as we speak. We had a great announcement with the Mayor of Surrey, TransLink, the other day, celebrating the construction of 16 kilometres of SkyTrain, Honourable Speaker, that will open in 2029.
Members.
We've invested $4.4 billion in it. The federal government, $1.3 billion, $228 million from TransLink, Honourable Speaker. It is going to be an amazing project that moves more than 50,000 people an hour when it opens late in 2029. It is going to stimulate economic development, Honourable Speaker, because this side of the House recognizes that Surrey is a growing community, needs the transit infrastructure. We're building it, Honourable Speaker. When they sat over here, Honourable Speaker,
bridges
they
fall
did
down
nothing.
in the central areas.
Member for Surrey Panorama.
Mr. Speaker, we've come to learn that the South Surrey White Rock Learning Centre is closing its doors due to lack of funding. I've gotten to know these kids personally over the past year, so it's very personal to me. Mainstream schooling just isn't an option for some of these kids to keep their educations going. It's never the wrong time to do the right thing. So will the Premier commit today to keep the Learning Centre open?
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank the member for the question. The students of Surrey and their Learning Centre have been doing an incredible job in advocating in their community and to the Surrey School Board on the importance of the Learning Centre to them. We absolutely want to make sure that all students have the supports they need to thrive. And we know that these kids and their families feel very passionate about the Learning Centre. School districts make local decisions using their local budget. So this is a decision that rests solely with the Surrey School District. But I encourage them to continue working with the students to make sure that their voices are heard. I have talked to the Surrey School District and I've met with the students. I've ensured through the Surrey School District that absolutely all the supports that the students are currently receiving in their current location are available at the new, at the alternate locations that the school district is working with the students towards. But absolutely, these are local decisions and that sit with the Surrey School District. And we will do everything we can by increasing funding to Surrey to ensure that students have the supports they need to thrive.
Member for Kamloops Centre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We heard today that the government was talking about new spending on infrastructure in Surrey on the second tower of the Surrey Memorial Hospital as well as school capital. Don't just wait for the questions. Can the government please point us to the page number in the budget where any new school capital at Surrey Memorial budget is?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Surrey, as we all know, is the fastest growing city in the province, and that's why we're making such important investments in Surrey. New hospital and cancer centre.
Members.
Under construction now.
Let's hear the answer.
New tower for Surrey Memorial coming. New kidney and cardiac care centre at Surrey Memorial, Honourable Speaker. Construction on Surrey Langley SkyTrain well underway, as we just heard, Honourable Speaker. Building more schools and classrooms. Snoqualmie Elementary construction underway in the budget, 655 seats, adding new spaces for 500 more students at Kwantlen Park Secondary, Honourable Speaker, and so on, and so on, and so on. Importantly, also to support Surrey and many other areas of the province, we are doubling the number of police recruits into the Justice Institute, Honourable Speaker. There are so many supports for Surrey in this budget, and we're very proud to do the work.
Member has supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was a pretty straightforward question. Name the pages that the new spending is in this year's budget for Surrey, for schools, and for the Second Memorial Hospital Tower. None. And that is the problem, what we've heard today of every topic relating to Surrey. But Surrey is just a microcosm to this whole province, Mr. Speaker. You could take the same questions we asked today about Surrey and their schools being under siege, their health authority not running properly, projects being delayed or behind schedule, projects announced that actually don't have any funding on them in the budget. You name it, you could put that anywhere in BC. Surrey, despite this government trying to blame past governments all day long, has grown 200,000 residents since they took office, yet they have not kept up with the pace of growth. BC has gained 700,000 residents since this government took office, and they have not kept up with the pace of growth. So again, Mr. Speaker,
Member has the floor.
Given that the only capital spending we can find in this budget is an increase to capital spending which actually covers the cost overruns of the current projects that are out there by this government, when can the residents of British Columbia, where the residents of Surrey, can actually expect meaningful and tangible improvements to the services they rely on every day under this government?
Government House Leader. Government House Leader. Members, are we interested in listening to the answer? Members, enough.
Thank you.
Members. Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We've heard a lot today in this House about Surrey, and I think it's really great because this side of the House recognizes just how important Surrey is to the province of British Columbia in terms of how it's growing and the needs that it requires, and how this government is investing, whether it is in transit and transportation, whether it's in schools, whether it's in hospitals, you name it, Honourable Speaker. We are doing just that. But one of the biggest challenges that Surrey faces is the one that British Columbia faces and that Canada faces, and that is the threat from terrorists south of the border, Honourable Speaker. A threat from terrorists south of the border.
Members.
And at a time, Honourable Speaker.
Members, calm down, please.
And at a time. And at a time.
Members.
And at a time.
Hold it. Members, don't try to be so cute, member. It's Minister's floor. He has the floor. Let him finish. Member? I heard what you said. Would you stand up and withdraw that word, please? Minister will continue.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And at a time in this country when we should all be standing together, united, as Canadians, it is so disappointing that there are still members in this House on the other side who want to side with those who undermine Canadian sovereignty by standing with those. Again yesterday, Honourable Speaker, Surrey Panorama doubled down, criticized Doug Ford for standing up for Ontarians, standing up for Canadians. We stand with Doug Ford. We stand with Canada and Canadians. We will always do that, Honourable Speaker.
The bell ends the question period.